Die Hard is an action film franchise. The first film was released in 1988. It was about an off-duty police officer who, mostly through bad timing, is stuck in an office building when a group of armed men storm inside and take hostages. Unlike most shoot-'em-up action films of its time, the protagonist, in this case Bruce Willis as John McClane, feels like an ordinary human being. He's not a robot from the future, he's not an unkillable juggernaut, he does not know superpowered kung fu, and he is not even in particularly good shape. A good Die Hard film follows a set of rules. First, John McClane must feel like an everyman, someone who is down on his luck, skilled but not fully equipped to handle the job. In the first Die Hard, he panics, talks to himself, screams, gets frequently injured but does the best he can in a bad situation. Die Hard would not work as well if John McClane were played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold's stock character is an unstoppable Terminator. He could bench press Nakatomi Plaza. Young Bruce Willis could project vulnerability. That's why the movie works. Second, he must be stuck in an enclosed space with no escape. Third, he never goes looking for trouble. He stumbles into it backwards and tries his best to climb his way out, whether it's in the Nakatomi building or an airport. The first three Die Hard movies follow this simple but effective formula, save for Die Hard with a Vengeance because it takes place in an entire city, not one enclosed space. It follows all the other rules, though. Due to the incredible success of Die Hard, Hollywood has been trying to make not only sequels to the original, but also clones of Die Hard. Movies inspired by the concept of one man being trapped at the wrong place at the wrong time, sometimes an everyman, and being forced to face off against capable and highly trained criminals. That's not to say these films ripped off Die Hard in the literal sense of that phrase. Rather, they feel inspired by the Die Hard concept, as if someone wrote a script and then pitched it to a Hollywood producer as, "It's Die Hard but on a plane." These films do not always follow the Die Hard formula well enough, and that has led to mixed results. Olympus Has Fallen is Die Hard in the White House. It features a super powerful, impossibly cool, and resilient mega-soldier gliding through the White House to save the president, the country, and whatever he wants. This is a bad Die Hard clone, because its protagonist is far, far too hyper-competent. Of course he's going to save the world. He's basically Batman with military training. It violates the everyman rule. Under Siege is Die Hard on a boat. Tommy Lee Jones has captured a Navy ship, and the only man who can stop him is the cook, played by Steven Seagal. One normally would not put Steven Seagal in charge of anything more difficult than opening a box of crackers, but this movie really wanted to be another Die Hard. Under Siege 2 was Die Hard on a train. Same description, add the word train. Passenger 57 is Die Hard on a plane. Speed is Die Hard on a bus. The Rock is Die Hard in a prison. This could go on, so for the sake of brevity, let's continue. Hollywood is running out of original ideas. That's not a controversial statement to make. Though if they must rely on what has worked in the past, why have they moved the actual Die Hard franchise so far away from its successful roots? With the desire to recreate Die Hard so many times over the course of the past 25 years or so, why does Die Hard itself not feel at all like Die Hard anymore? Live Free or Die Hard is a 2007 action movie and fourth iteration of the Die Hard franchise. It once again has John McClane fighting terrorists, in this case, cyber-terrorists. In this instance, most of the rules of Die Hard have been violated. It left us with a mediocre action film that, while not terrible, was not Die Hard. First, it is not in an enclosed space, or even in a city. It takes place all over the country. John McClane skips around states to solve this crime. Second, it removes the everyman concept that made Die Hard so relatable. It still stars Bruce Willis as McClane, but this is a different McClane. This is a McClane who can throw a car at a helicopter and avoid massive CGI wrecks in a tunnel, bouncing around like a pinball. Also, the stakes were raised in such a way that the very idea of a local cop being the only man who can save the entire country became not only implausible, but laughable. In the first Die Hard, we can accept that sometimes one police officer in the wrong place at the wrong time might be able to contain a situation involving multiple suspects. He will get shot up a bit and have glass coming out of his feet by the end, but he might just survive. He doesn't even do a perfect job. A few hostages are murdered and the building is in shambles. But in Live Free or Die Hard, this local cop somehow becomes a one-man army for saving the entire country, and the rest of the government seems completely incapable of solving the invasion of the hackers. This is not Die Hard. Now, some attribute this to the fact that the script to Live Free or Die Hard was based on a novel that had nothing to do with John McClane, but that has been true of other Die Hards. The novel 58 Minutes was the basis for Die Hard 2. It was not written to be about McClane. It was simply chosen to be adapted into Die Hard 2 because a lot of elements fit into a Die Hard sequel. It made sense. Live Free or Die Hard is based on an idea that does not work within the natural laws of Die Hard. It takes place all over the country, and a local police officer with no federal jurisdiction is somehow tasked with saving the United States of America. It could only be more ridiculous if he were also in outer space. A Good Day to Die Hard takes place in Russia and showcases John McClane as an even greater Ubermensch action hero than ever before. See, the charm of Die Hard has always been the character's vulnerability. We, the audience, connected with his plight. Not anymore. Let's dramatically switch gears here. In Aristotle's Rhetoric, he identifies 3 artistic modes of persuasion. One, called pathos, is the persuasion of the audience through emotion. Pathos is an important component in storytelling. Our emotional connection to what is happening in literature, theater, or in this case film, is most often what makes the story enjoyable and meaningful to us. We connect most commonly to people, not places or events. The term everyman has been used a lot here, so let's go into a larger definition. An everyman is someone who, though skilled in something, is also vulnerable and relatable. John McClane was the perfect everyman in the first Die Hard. He was going through a difficult time in his marriage, he was not looking for trouble, he is beat up and bleeding throughout most of the film, and even some of his allies in law enforcement don't trust him. The wrong way to make a relatable character is to create a tabula rasa, a blank slate for which we can insert ourselves neatly because said character has no defining characteristics. It's the equivalent of watching a choose-your-own-adventure book wherein you are the main character, but the only worthwhile part of it, your choice, has been removed, leaving you with a story about a faceless nobody. The right way to make a relatable character is to create a relatively talented but vulnerable person with their own personality and quirks, but make them human enough that we can still see ourselves in them. If we make the character too strong, it will become either a comparatively shallow power fantasy or something not even worth seeing. Live Free or Die Hard put a bullet in that, and A Good Day to Die Hard pulled the plug. Hollywood sometimes gets it right when making a Die Hard clone. White House Down had the correct elements. Down on his luck, flawed man stuck in one location at the wrong time. It's not on the level of Die Hard, but it used the formula better than the last 2 adventures of John McClane. There is certainly a market for a movie like this now that Die Hard itself is not making true Die Hard movies anymore. Everyone wants Die Hard except Die Hard.